Have you seen these amigurumi kits at Dollar Tree? That's right, $1.25 for a nifty little amigurumi set. So today I'm going to unbag it, and see how easy it is to do and if it's worth $1.25. I ended up buying 4 of these kits at my local Dollar Tree. I had seen them around, but sometimes the Dollar Trees near where I live, they don't always have stuff. Like, I'll see it on YouTube, or I'll see it months and months before we actually get it. I don't know why that is, but I finally found these. I finally tracked them down, and so this is I think this is a cat. This is a bear, a unicorn, and a dog. I didn't buy, there's supposed to be a rabbit. I didn't see that one. And then there was another one that I didn't buy for some reason. So anyway, I'm going to open the unicorn, and I'm going to see how difficult it is to make one. So we'll see what you get for $1.25. Now, obviously, you don't get much of packaging wise. Alright, so this is what you get in your little bag. Fiberfill, which I know it expands, so hopefully obviously that's got to be enough. There's a little bit package with safety eyes, 2 safety eyes, and a needle. It's a plastic needle. We've got our instructions. So here's the crochet hook. I have broken plastic, and I'm not even talking about Dollar Tree ones. I think they were the Boyle brand or the Susan Bates. I think it might have been the Susan Bates acrylics. I broke one time. So this is kind of bendy. It's probably for a beginner it will be fine. I don't know what size it is. It doesn't actually have a size on it. It may say in the instructions. So I'm probably going to replace, no, just for the sake of this, I'm going to actually crochet with this thing. I didn't buy them. My coworker bought the Hobby Lobby kit last Christmas. It was a gingerbread man, and I had to eventually switch over because the crochet hook that the kit came with was atrocious, and I ended up switching to one that I had. So I'm going to crochet it with this. So I'm not going to switch over to one of my good ones. So there's that. And then it's got the yarn that you'll need. It's fairly soft. It's actually, texture-wise, this is very soft. I'm surprised how soft it is. It doesn't even feel like Red Heart. I mean, Red Heart's kind of scratchy. This actually is pretty soft. Oops. I just dropped a piece. So yeah, it's not bad. Now when I did that Hobby Lobby kit, that yarn was quite plasticky. It was very much acrylic, and it was hard to work with. It split a lot, so we'll see how that goes. So the instructions. Now I've watched a couple of these on YouTube, and I had heard that their instructions are visual. And I wasn't exactly sure what that means, but that there was like no written pattern. It was all visual. And now I see what they're talking about. It looks like, yeah, it does not, it has a ring, and it looks like like a dartboard. It has the different, this is going to be interesting how to work this pattern. And then down here, so it gives you, I guess, what you should be doing up here in your numbers. And then down here, it shows you how to assemble it visually. There's some written words. So I'm going to have to take a look at this to see what this actually means. This is interesting. I have never encountered a pattern like this. And Okay, so it does have, so it has that bullseye looking thing, and then next to it has a chart that gives you the row and the stitches. So I'm guessing that's going to be the pattern there, and then it has some text here. I'm guessing that it does explain what to do, but it also gives you a visual representation of what what it should look like. And I'm guessing this is the head, and it would just be doing it in the round and increasing and decreasing. Now it shows you on here, it gives you standard crocheting, how the basic techniques. It shows you how to do it in the round, and then it shows you what a chain stitch, a single stitch, an increase, and a decrease. Now the thing that looks like not in here is a stitch marker, which is going to be important to make this. Now if you're a newbie, you're going to have to probably either do the yarn trick or the paper clip trick to crochet in the round. So I'm going to give it a try and see how far I can go using this hook. I have some of the Dollar Tree hooks, and I think it's a 5.5 millimeter hook I have from the Dollar Tree that I really do like. This is not very sturdy, and I don't know. I mean, I have a relatively small hand, but it doesn't say, and I don't think it has the size on it. Let me see if the box, or let's see if this tells you. It does not. It just says a plastic needle, yarn, stuffing, crochet hook, and it says plastic beads, but I'm guessing that means eyes, safety eyes. They're not beads. So yeah, looks like there's no marking on the crochet hook itself. Now, compared to the gingerbread man that I did for Christmas, this is not very detailed. As you can see, it's not very detailed. It's a single page. The one I got from Hobby Lobby had it was very long, but it was also involved, but it had step by step how to do it, and it was written like a crochet pattern. This looks like it is not, and we're gonna have a little experiment, I guess, with this and see if it can be done. I do have that little thing that I mentioned in my last Joann's haul that I bought that will size your crochet needles for you. So if I have to end up getting one of my crochet needles, I'll have to size this and see what it is, because it's nowhere. Wait a minute, there's something there. I can't see what it is. Yeah, it does have a size on it. I just can't see what it is because it's white and not easy to see. So anyway, I will be back to review our unicorn and the process of making it. My review of the Dollar Tree Amigurumi Kit. That I decided to do the unicorn first because I felt like he might be the most challenging of I feel like it was going to be the most challenging. For the most part, it comes with everything that you need. It comes with the eyes, it comes with a hook, it comes with a darning needle, it comes with the plastic eyes, it comes with the stuffing, the yarn, a pattern. The only thing that was missing from it was a stitch marker because you are doing patterns in the round. So it was weird that it didn't have a stitch marker, or it didn't tell you to even do that. So that was one thing that I wish it had a stitch marker, because if you're not crocheting, if you're not if this is not what you do, or you're not a hobby you have, you likely don't have a stitch marker, and you may not even understand the purpose of a stitch marker. So it would be nice to have had that in there. I will say, and I lost the pattern for it. I ended up it was just one single sheet of paper, like folded in half. And, well, you saw it in the unboxing. I ended up taking a picture of it on my phone because I could not read it. It was so small. The words were so small on it that I couldn't really see it very well. And it was also a visual pattern, so there was no they had it written out, but I'm used to written patterns, and seeing it as a visual pattern was a little weird. I know them basically. I know I've seen them. I remember they were kind of big in the 70s when my grandma did crochet, and I remember seeing some of her pattern books that had them. But so, and there was, the thing was, there was no key on this that I could find. But again, the pattern was so small that it was it was not, there wasn't a lot of information on it, and I ended up having to take a picture of it to put on my phone, and then ultimately I put it on my iPad to blow it up even bigger. But like for the in the round, it had an X, meaning a single crochet, and then it had the V for increase, and then it had the point, the peak like this for decrease, but there was no key with it. So if you didn't know that, you were kind of confused. I also got, when I was doing in the round on, I think it was on the head. It was the head, or it was one of the bigger pieces. I think it was the head. It the stitches didn't count. Like normally when you do an in the round and you do a increase, you do like, you do one and then you do an increase and then you do that all around, or you do two and then you do an increase. At one point it just said 19, you should have 19 stitches at the end of the round. So you have to go look at the pattern to see where on that 19 that you're supposed to do the second increase. It was not, for me, not being a visual pattern person, it was very difficult, because if I see a written pattern and it'll say, you know, two single crochet, one increase 4 times, then I've got it in my head and I can do it. The visual thing was just tripped me up a lot. So the pattern itself, yeah, it was not an easy pattern, even though it was simple because it was just in the round. It was increasing, decreasing in the round. Very simple pattern, but I just didn't like how it was written, and I think, or how it was displayed. And I think if you're very new at crochet, it would, I'm afraid that if you were very new at crochet, it may turn you off, or you don't, it didn't really walk you through it very well. The instructions were quite vague, not vague, but just quite sparse in their instructing. It would just say like, yeah, it was just kind of sparse in its instruction. Now, two of the things that came with it, it came with a hook, a very flimsy hook. I think it was a set. Let's see. I ended up having, again, it was very hard to see what was on here, so I ended up rubbing a Sharpie over it to see. It's a 3.5 millimeter, and I have a relatively small hand, and I was finding that it bent a lot when I would work with it. The yarn also is quite cheap. Um, it almost felt like it was very polyester, very polyester feeling to it. It wasn't soft. Even the value yarn, like the big twist value yarn, is very soft. It was like old school Red Heart, like 70s old school Red Heart that I remember my grandma getting. It was just really not fun to work with after a while. Initially, when I took it out of the bag, it felt somewhat soft, but as I worked with it, it really, you could feel the, the scratchiness of it. But like I said, I crocheted with it for the head, and it was just, I did the head all the way with this, and I decided, no more. I'm going to go find one of my crochet hooks, and I finished the body, the feet, the legs, and the snout in like no time once I switched over. This thing was just making me lumber along. It was miserable trying to crochet with this. The darning needle, or the yarn needle for it, also very bendy. Again, not something I'm used to. I'm used to working with metal. I usually tend to have metal hooks. I have the kind that are, the bendiness of it did help when you were putting the legs on and the snout, because it could bend a lot more. But I was at many points afraid I was going to break it, because I was, you know, getting it in there and trying to do it. And then the main, oh, there's two other things. The main, putting that on, and the colors I got were different, and I putting this on was difficult because, again, the instructions were not clear. It said to put them on in knots, and I try to look at this. It looks like that might be how it is, but then the tail was, I had a heck of a hard time with the tail. Then the last thing was the horn. I crocheted the horn, and the horn was in the round. It was like the legs, and actually I think it was a little bit bigger. I think it was 8. You started with 8, and then you decreased to maybe 4. I did it, and I hated it. I absolutely hated how that horn looked. On here, I thought it might have been a single crochet, like the chicken beaks that I did, but it was in the round, and I absolutely hated it after I put it on. So I ended up taking it off and making my own horn. So I guess that is the reason you're here, right? To see what it looks like. So this is my little unicorn. There he is. Front, back, side, front side, back side. Okay, so I'll tell you what I did, and what I modified. First thing, the horn. I modified it. I made it more of a horn, because, like I said, well, on here, it was just like this. It was fat like that. It was basically this up here. So the snout, I think, were the same size. So it was basically that with a little bit more point to it. I hated it. So what I did here was I single crocheted about 6 chains. I did 6 a chain, single crocheted it down, single crocheted it back up. Then I crocheted them together, and that's how I did that. That's how I did that. And then I just attached it. How I did the mane is I took 2 strands of each of the collars, alternating all the way down, and I just slip stitched them into the head. So that's all I did. And then I try to cut it off. I gave him almost a faux hawk effect. And that worked a lot better, because I tried to tie each one on, and it was not going to work for me. The tail, again, was also, the instructions were difficult to follow. So what I ended up doing was taking 2 folds. I folded it over and then folded it over again, took white and made it in the center, and then I attached it on the white to his butt. So that's what I did. Now these legs were very difficult. Like I said, they were very difficult to attach, and it was kind of nice to have the bendiness of this needle trying to get this in here. But yeah, it was kind of a struggle. And I do amigurumi. I've done amigurumi for at least 8 years, off and on for the past 8 years, and I found it somewhat challenging to do this. Um, the the eyes, it didn't tell you where to put, like in row whatever, put the eyes, how many stitches apart to put them. It just had a visual picture, visual. It was just a visual thing, and it showed you, but it did not say like row 7, put them on at 6 apart. I just kind of guessed at it. So yeah, I would not recommend this. At least this one. I don't know if I have the teddy bear, the cat, the dog. Those are the other 3 I have. They may be easier. This one was very challenging, I think, because of the hair and the tail and the horn. So I would not. I don't know. I would not recommend this for a beginner. If you're more experienced with doing amigurumi, or you're more experienced with crocheting in the round, or sewing pieces on, maybe. But definitely, I would not recommend this for a beginner. I have not done my Woobles kits yet, but I'm thinking that from what I understand, the Woobles are a lot easier to maybe understand, and they're also not sewing like these legs, so they're a little bit less challenging. So even though it's, you may think it might be something good for a kid, I would definitely not start any newbie off with one of these, or at least not this one. So as you can see, that's what I was saying, he turned out different, the main, than this one did, because it has different colors. I don't know, but that's my final unicorn, and that's what it was supposed to look like. I think it pretty much came out. I mean, I absolutely love it. It's adorable, but it was quite difficult to, or it was not quite difficult. It was a bit of a challenge to get it together. So yeah, I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad I have it, and I'm going to try to do something fun with the pattern coming up on the channel. So I ask that you subscribe and keep up to date on some of the progress that I'll be making with more unicorns, perhaps.